The German State Banquet did not simply offer a diplomatic evening or a glittering showcase of royal protocol. It offered something far more historic, far more significant, and far more deliberate than most people realized in the first moments the cameras flashed. It offered a turning point, subtle in presentation, but monumental in meaning within the British monarchy itself. When the Princess of Wales stepped into that grand ballroom, beneath the towering chandeliers and gold-leafed ceilings, she wasn't just dressed for the evening, she was crowned by destiny. Because perched upon her head was not simply a tiara, not merely a royal accessory chosen for elegance or symbolism, but the most controlled, the most restricted, the most rule-bound jewel in the entire royal vault. Queen Victoria's Oriental Circlet. Its reappearance wasn't random. It wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't even just a stylistic choice. It was a message, one crafted quietly, intentionally, almost surgically by the crown itself. For more than a century, the Oriental Circlet has been the private language of queens. Its meaning, its rules, its lineage all point toward one truth. Only a queen, or a future queen consort, may place it upon her head. When Catherine emerged wearing it, the monarchy didn't whisper, it didn't hint, it didn't suggest, it declared. Without a single spoken word, it announced to the world that Catherine's place in the royal future is no longer a question, no longer a prediction, no longer a hopeful expectation. It is confirmed. It is sealed. It is already in motion. To understand the weight of this moment, one must understand the jewel itself, because the Oriental Circlet isn't merely a royal heirloom. It's a coded message crafted in diamonds and rubies. Its story begins in 1853, during the height of the Victorian era, when Prince Albert designed it personally, overseeing every detail from the structure to the stones. That alone made it extraordinary. Very few tiaras in the royal collection were designed by a monarch's consort with such meticulous involvement. But what makes it legendary is the iron rule attached by Queen Victoria herself. Only a reigning queen, or a future queen consort, is permitted to wear it. Not a princess, not a duchess, not even a senior royal. Only the woman destined to sit beside a king. When Victoria passed, her instructions did not fade. They hardened. The royal family protected her rule with almost obsessive loyalty. The first woman to wear it after her was Queen Alexandra, wife of Edward VII, who boldly changed Albert's original design by removing the opals and replacing them with rubies, a decision that not only altered its appearance but deepened its legend. Alexandra believed opals carried misfortune, and the monarchy, already navigating political complexities of the early 20th century, could not risk an omen. Her rubies remained, glowing like embers of power, commitment, and continuity. After Alexandra, the tiara found its way to Queen Mary, though, curiously, no known photographs exist of her wearing it. Still, she cherished it, and in her lifetime, it transitioned yet again to the woman who would give it its longest, most iconic era, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. She wore the Oriental Circlet with pride and frequency, especially during the years of World War II and the rebuilding of Britain. To the people, she was a symbol of strength, a reassuring presence. To the monarchy, she was a stabilizer. And on her, the tiara became something more than majestic. It became a sign of endurance. Then came Queen Elizabeth II, who wore it only once, in 2005, at a state banquet in Malta. That appearance alone stunned historians, because until that moment, the tiara had vanished from the public eye for decades. Its single outing under Queen Elizabeth II marked the end of its visibility. For nearly 20 years, it disappeared once again, locked away, untouched, unphotographed, and unmentioned. It never appeared on Camilla, never on any royal bride, never on any senior royal woman, no matter how high-ranking or respected. The rule remained unbroken. The tiara waited for the woman the monarchy deemed worthy. And on that unforgettable night of the German state visit, the wait ended. As Catherine stepped forward, the ballroom seemed to pause. The camera flashes softened, the atmosphere thickened with history. Those who understood the tiara gasped. Those who didn't soon realized the magnitude. Because Catherine wasn't simply wearing a royal jewel, she was stepping into a lineage held only by queens. The Oriental circlet wasn't placed on her head for aesthetic beauty. It was placed to signal a transition, a preparation, a coronation of identity before the coronation of title. The monarchy has always communicated in symbols, and this was the clearest symbol of all. Catherine is the next queen consort of the United Kingdom. Not in possibility, not in theory, but in certainty. Her entrance was choreographed, but her aura was natural. She carried the tiara with a quiet strength that felt both humble and commanding. She didn't need to assert her status. The jewel asserted it for her. She didn't need to announce her future. The rubies and the circlet declared it with every flicker of light. Catherine didn't seem overwhelmed by the weight of the moment. She embodied it effortlessly, like someone who had already accepted her destiny long before this evening ever arrived. The banquet itself was steeped in diplomacy, Germany and the United Kingdom reaffirming ties, strengthening cultural bridges, and honoring shared history. But beneath the surface, beneath the speeches and toasts, there was another narrative unfolding, a royal narrative, a confirmation that the monarchy has chosen Catherine not just to support William, but to stabilize the future. Her grace, her consistency, her global respect, all of it has positioned her as the figure the crown needs for its next chapter. The tiara emphasized what the public has long sensed. Catherine's rise is not merely symbolic, it is strategic. The monarchy is entering a delicate era, facing modern pressures, generational shifts, and intense global scrutiny. And in this era, the presence of a queen consort who blends tradition with modernity is invaluable. Catherine represents continuity without stagnation, tradition without rigidity, elegance without excess. Her wearing of the Oriental circlet connected her directly to Victoria, Alexandra, Mary, Elizabeth the Queen Mother, and Elizabeth II, a lineage of women who shaped the monarchy through war, transition, and change. And now, Catherine steps forward as the modern successor to that lineage.
As Catherine moved deeper into the banquet hall, the tiara's rubies flickered like living flames, catching the glow of every chandelier and every golden sconce. It wasn't merely that she wore the jewel, it was how the jewel responded to her presence. For decades, historians debated whether the Oriental circlet had lost its relevance, whether it would ever return, or whether it would fade into the archive of unused relics. But the moment Catherine entered, that question was answered with absolute clarity. The tiara had not lost relevance. It had been waiting. It had been waiting for the right head, the right era, the right queen in waiting to give it purpose again. And Catherine, without uttering a single word, revived a tradition that had been silent since the early 20th century. Her gown, her posture, her expression all worked together to create an image that seemed to transcend the evening. She was not playing dress-up in royal jewels. She was stepping into the living fabric of royal continuity, a continuity that began with Queen Victoria's declaration and now extends to the present moment. The banquet guests, political leaders, diplomats, foreign dignitaries, likely saw only the surface, shimmering jewels, diplomatic grace, refined elegance. But for those who understand the symbolism of monarchy, the moment held layers far deeper than the visible. Catherine wasn't simply representing Britain to Germany, she was representing the monarchy to history. Every step she took seemed measured, deliberate, like someone fully aware of the weight of tradition on her shoulders, yet untroubled by it. Not because the weight was light, but because she had grown strong enough to carry it. For years, she had transitioned gracefully through the hierarchy of royal duty: Duchess, Mother, Senior Royal, Princess of Wales. But this moment, marked by this specific tiara, elevated her to a level beyond title. She stepped into the quiet acknowledgement of her ultimate role. And the monarchy, by allowing her to wear the circlet, stepped into that acknowledgement with her. Observers noticed how the other royals positioned themselves, subtle gestures, body language, even glances. Because royal events are never merely social occasions, they are orchestrated chessboards of meaning. And on this night, all eyes, even those trained to remain neutral, seemed drawn to Catherine. Not out of favoritism or spectacle, but recognition. Recognition that the woman wearing the Oriental circlet is not just the princess supporting the future king, she is the queen whom the monarchy is preparing the world to accept. Her interactions with guests were poised, calm, sincere. When she smiled, it was soft yet confident, the kind of smile that signals someone who knows they are exactly where they are meant to be. Her conversations weren't rushed. Her presence wasn't hurried. She exuded the same controlled serenity that Queen Elizabeth II was once known for. But Catherine's version was something new, modern, relatable, yet firmly royal. It suggested not imitation, but evolution. She wasn't stepping into Elizabeth's shoes, she was creating her own path to the throne. Meanwhile, the tiara itself seemed to narrate the evening. Every time she turned her head, the rubies glowed like embers reigniting. They carried the stories of Victoria's certainty, Alexandra's superstition, Mary's precision, the Queen Mother's resilience, and Elizabeth II's monarchy-shaping reign. And now, they glowed with Catherine's grace. The circlet had never looked more purposeful, more alive, more symbolic. It was as though the tiara itself had chosen her. The British monarchy has always used jewelry as language, silent, glittering sentences spoken through diamonds and gems. And this jewel spoke the clearest sentence of all: the future queen has arrived. Her presence wasn't a hint or a suggestion, it was confirmation. The monarchy wanted the world to see this image, understand this message, and accept this future. Because in a world where the monarchy faces ongoing scrutiny and evolving public expectations, stability is currency, and Catherine embodies stability, not through forcefulness, but through consistency, character, composure, and an unwavering dedication to her role. As the banquet continued, cameras captured every angle, every expression, every small moment that would later be analyzed by royal watchers. But one thing stood out above all else. Catherine looked at ease, truly at ease, not overwhelmed by the significance of the tiara or the expectations it represents. It was as if she had stepped into a space she had been quietly preparing for across the past 2 decades. From her early days adjusting to royal life to her present role as one of the most respected women in the monarchy, she had walked a long, measured road. And the Oriental circlet seemed to confirm that she had arrived at the destination the monarchy always intended for her. Even her interaction with Queen Camilla carried layers of meaning. Camilla, who has built her own place in the monarchy with strength and determination, has never worn the Oriental circlet, and likely never will. Not out of rejection or oversight, but because Victoria's rule remains firm. The circlet is for queens and queens in waiting. Camilla's position is respected, recognized, and deeply significant, but the circlet belongs to the next generation, and that generation is represented by Catherine. Throughout the night, as speeches echoed through the grand hall and the orchestra played softly in the background, the presence of the tiara remained the quiet center of gravity. For those who understood its significance, it felt like watching the monarchy write a chapter in real time, a chapter not announced in press releases or addressed through interviews, but communicated the way monarchies have always communicated their most important truths, through ritual, symbolism, and heritage. Catherine's appearance wasn't a personal triumph, it was a royal milestone. It marked the moment where the future stopped being theoretical and became visible. The moment where the monarchy signaled confidence not just in William's future reign, but in Catherine's partnership in that reign. Together, they represent stability, continuity, and modernity, but on this night, Catherine was the one carrying the message of the future. As the evening drew on, every moment she spent wearing the tiara expanded its meaning. Because jewels in the royal collection are not merely precious, they are storytellers. And on Catherine, the story being told was one of transition and trust, a message from the crown that the monarchy is moving forward, and Catherine is leading that movement with quiet command. She embodied what the tiara demanded: strength without arrogance, confidence without spectacle, elegance without excess. She carried the legacy of queens before her while standing firmly as a queen of the modern age, and the monarchy through this single jewel made it clear that the future is no longer on the horizon. It is here, it is visible, and Catherine stands at its center.
As the evening unfolded, the symbolism of the tiara grew even stronger. It was almost poetic. A jewel commissioned by Prince Albert for the woman he adored, now resting upon the head of a woman who represents the future for an entirely new era of monarchy. Catherine did not need to gesture toward the tiara or draw attention to it. Its presence spoke louder than any introduction ever could. It stood as a bridge between centuries, Victorian craftsmanship meeting modern royalty, bound together by the steady presence of a woman who has earned global admiration not through noise, but through quiet consistency. At one point, as dignitaries rose to toast, the light reflected off the circlet in a crystalline pattern that danced across the ceiling. It seemed almost symbolic of the monarchy itself, still able to cast beauty and meaning across the room when placed in the right hands. Catherine's poise added to that symbolism. She mirrored the discipline of a seasoned stateswoman, yet carried a warmth that softened the formal atmosphere, making every interaction feel genuine. This ability to hold composure while remaining approachable is rare. It was one of Queen Elizabeth II's greatest strengths, and on this night it was clear that Catherine had inherited that strength not by blood, but by understanding the weight and purpose of her role. Her conversations with German leaders, scholars, and cultural figures revealed another layer to her future queenship: intellectual presence. She was not simply nodding politely, she was engaging, responding, asking thoughtful questions. Her interest felt real, her diplomacy felt natural, and her grace felt grounded. The hallmark of a true queen is not the crown she wears, but the authority she carries even without one. Catherine displayed that authority without a hint of force. She did not dominate conversations, but she guided them with clarity and confidence. As courses were served and the orchestra continued its gentle score, many eyes returned again and again to the Oriental Circlet. It wasn't because of its brilliance alone. It was because the tiara had become a character in the evening, silent, ancient, powerful. It had survived generations, wars, transitions, and shifts in monarchic philosophy. And now, after nearly a century of silence, it had chosen Catherine as its next bearer. The weight of its history was not lost on her. She carried it as though she understood every chapter, every rule, every silent expectation woven into its existence. One could sense that the royal household had prepared meticulously for this moment. The choice of tiara, the timing of its unveiling, the state visit itself, all aligned with a strategic elegance. The monarchy rarely acts spontaneously when symbolism is involved. They knew that the world was watching. They knew that Catherine wearing this tiara would send a message stronger than any press briefing or palace announcement. It communicated exactly what needed to be communicated: stability, continuity, and a monarchy preparing for transition with confidence rather than fear. As the evening reached its midpoint, a subtle shift occurred in the room. Guests seemed to relax, conversation grew richer, and the initial formality softened. Catherine's presence contributed greatly to that shift. She had a unique ability to humanize even the most formal of occasions. Her smile, poised but sincere, carried the warmth often missing from state events. When she spoke, she made eye contact. Real eye contact. Not symbolic, not rehearsed, but genuinely attentive. That is a quality that distinguished Princess Diana and later Queen Elizabeth II. And now Catherine carries that same human touch into the modern age.
At one point, a German official remarked privately that Catherine possessed the elegance of a queen and the warmth of a friend. That observation echoed across the hall. She wasn't admired simply because she was royal. She was admired because of who she had become within royalty. Her demeanor did not command attention, it earned it, and there was a profound difference between the two. The Oriental Circlet, in its ruby brilliance, seemed to amplify these traits. It did not overshadow Catherine, it elevated her. The tiara's Victorian structure framed her face with a regal silhouette that felt timeless. The rubies glowed with depth and intensity, as though symbolically highlighting the strength of her character, the loyalty in her heart, and the fire of responsibility she carries with quiet courage. Many historians later noted that Catherine's wearing of the circlet marked the first time in nearly a century that the tiara looked truly at peace, resting not as a historical relic, but as a living emblem of monarchy. It did not feel like a museum piece taken out for display. It felt like a crown with purpose, placed on the head of the woman who will one day wear the real crown with the same grace. Meanwhile, William's subtle glances toward Catherine throughout the night revealed the unspoken understanding between them. He knew the significance of this moment. He knew the weight of the tiara and the message it carried. And his expression, calm, proud, steady, reflected not only admiration for his wife, but confidence in their shared destiny. The monarchy will one day rest on both of them, and on this night, he watched as Catherine stepped further into the role she had been preparing for since the moment she joined the royal family. As dessert was served, the hall dimmed slightly, allowing the chandeliers to cast a soft golden glow over the room. This change in lighting amplified the circlet's brilliance. The rubies shimmered lightly as though responding to the music drifting through the air. The effect was almost cinematic. Catherine appeared both ethereal and grounded, an image of past and future intertwined. Guests seated farther away leaned discreetly to catch a glimpse of her, not out of curiosity, but admiration. Many had attended multiple state banquets across various countries and monarchies, yet few had witnessed a moment where history, symbolism, diplomacy, and personal elegance fused so seamlessly through one individual. Catherine did not just attend the banquet, she defined it. The night felt less like a diplomatic formality and more like a monumental chapter unveiling. Even those who did not know the Oriental Circlet's rules sensed that something profound was unfolding. They sensed that Catherine, in her quiet, composed manner, had stepped into a role much larger than the evening itself. The soft conversations, the gentle music, the reflection of diamonds and rubies, the steady rhythm of tradition, all of it built toward a singular realization. Catherine was no longer simply the Princess of Wales. She had crossed an invisible threshold. She was now the embodiment of the monarchy's future, and the tiara, glowing like a royal flame, confirmed it.